Opening night of the college basketball season and an intriguing matchup here in Normal, Illinois as Illinois State plays host to the Florida Gulf Coast Eagles. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Illinois State basketball here on NBC Sports Chicago. Kurt Pegler alongside former Redbird assistant Bob Morris. These two schools opened up the season a year ago against one another, Bob, but in that time, a year's time, Florida Gulf Coast has had a real big change in their roster.
Well, they have, and not only in their roster, their coaching staff has changed. What was the assistant? Michael Fly is now the head coach, and he has a whole new staff with him. But as you stated, they have 8 new faces on their roster. The Marquette transfer, Hanif Cheatham, is the one they are looking for to be their leader. He was the best defensive player Marquette had the last 2 years, and they need him to not only play defense, they need him to score. He's capable. When he plays well, the Eagles are good.
Redbirds have some returning firepower in second-team All-Missouri Valley Conference performer Phil Fain and first-team All-Conference player Malik Yarbrough.
Malik Yarbrough, anybody that follows Redbird basketball knows Malik is a true talent. Last year at the end of the season in Missouri Valley stands, in 3 different categories, he was a top 5 player, scoring, rebounding, and assists. When Malik Yarbrough plays his best ball, the Redbirds play their best ball, Kurt.
Stay tuned. The starting lineups and the opening tip up next. Opening night in the college hoop season, Illinois State and Florida Gulf Coast. Next on NBC Sports Chicago. State Redbirds play host to the Eagles of Florida Gulf Coast. Let's take a look at tonight's starting lineup brought to you by Illinois Ford. Inviting you to visit your local Ford store or buy FordNow.com. 4 of the 5 starters for Florida Gulf Coast are transfers. The lone non-transfer in that lineup is Christian Carlisle, who's a Jacksonville, Florida native. Cedric Casimir comes to the Eagles from Iona. Ricky Doyle comes to the Eagles from Michigan. Hanif Cheatham comes to the Eagles from Marquette. And Denaro Mercurius comes to the Eagles from Daytona State and Texas Rio Grande Valley. And so, yes, it's a team that has been a collection of players, if you will, for the Eagles of Florida Gulf Coast. Meanwhile, Illinois State's starting 5. There's some familiar faces if you've followed the Redbirds the last several years. William Tinsley, Phil Fain, Keyshawn Evans among the starters last year. Zach Copeland, who sat out last year for Illinois State, the transfer from Oakland, is in the lineup as a starter. And Isaac Gassman, the sophomore from Ottawa, Illinois, his first career start tonight for the Redbirds. He played last year in 32 games, all of them off the bench. Gets his first career start tonight. So no Malik Yarbrough in the starting 5 for the Redbirds. No doubt he'll be on the floor probably shortly after tip-off. The Redbirds are debuting some new gray uniforms with the Redbird script across the chest. Their black numbers and red trim. The Eagles of Florida Gulf Coast in their blue uniforms with white numbers and trim. And the opening tip is controlled by the Eagles. And the 2018-2019 college basketball season is underway here in Normal, Illinois. We're glad that you are alongside here on NBC Sports Chicago. Michael Neal, Roland Simmons, Greg Renner-Garvey are the officials working tonight's game here. On the shot clock. Wide open is Doyle, and he just hammers it down.
Miscommunication on the offside defender. Will Tinsley didn't quite see Mr. Doyle. All 6'9", 240 pounds of him.
Evans to Fain, but he can't complete the play.
Great pass right there by Keyshawn Evans. Going to be a lot of feeling each other out early in this game. The excitement of the new season. A lot of new faces for Florida Gulf Coast. As you said, there's a lineup out there for the Redbirds that we haven't seen all for the last couple of years anyway.
And it's a brand new lineup for the Eagles, as we mentioned. So many new faces that this is a completely different lineup that from a year ago. These two teams played last year in the season opener on the 11th of November. And the Eagles roster right now is not similar to that one at all. This shot by the Redbirds, and back comes Florida Gulf Coast. We're just underway, a 2-0 lead for the visitors. Here's Cheatham, the Marquette transfer, already a preseason all-conference selection. Good ball movement to Casimir in the corner, and he knocks down the first 3 of the season. He shot it at 46% a year ago at Iona, which was a career high. He is a 3-point threat.
All night long, let him stand there and shoot, he can kill you.
Evans' 3-point look was halfway down and it rattled out. Redbirds still looking for their first points of the year.
Redbirds playing Coach Muller's favorite defense, man-to-man. Isn't what he plays all the time, but it is his favorite.
And we've got an offensive foul that's going to be called against Ricky Doyle.
And he's taken objection with the official regarding that. He didn't quite agree with the call. But I have yet to see one of those conversations change an official's mind.
Well, he's going to go to the bench. Brady Ernst comes in, the Clinton, Iowa native. He's another transfer. He started his career at Iowa State.
Was a real scoring machine and a rebounding machine. Career leader in both those categories while in high school at Clinton, Iowa.
Feint shot hits the front of the rim, no good, and it's tipped to the corner, in and out of the hands of Zach Copeland. So the Redbirds' offense a little wobbly to get going here.
Nerves. Tight. You can just see, like you said, they're wobbly. They're the excitement of the first game, home game. They just got to relax.
Matchup here with Casimir and Keyshawn Evans. It's going to be a good matchup all night long. Cheatham with one finger.
He's good.
Puts it on the floor, and he's going to be rewarded by a couple of foul shots.
That's going to be the challenge for the Redbirds this entire evening. Is it can the Redbirds keep the Eagles out of the paint off the penetrating dribble, because they are so good at that.
So here's Hanif Cheatham, the Marquette transfer, preseason all-conference selection. He was a Big East all-freshman selection back in 2016. Michael Fly, in his first year with Florida Gulf Coast, he spent the last 7 years as an assistant on the bench under Andy Enfield and Joe Dooley, but this is game one of year one of his head coaching experience with Florida Gulf Coast. It's a rebound, by the Eagles, and now another look, this time from the corner. Three is missed. Feint comes down with it for Illinois State.
On that free throw exchange, we saw Gaspin go to the bench for the Redbirds and Malik Yarborough come in.
And he's tying it up on the floor, and he may have turned it over. We'll see if they're going to say it's a held ball possession, and the arrow is favoring Illinois State.
Again, just trying to do a little too much too early. Just get into the flow of the game. Things will happen and come your way. Don't force it. Stay within the confines of the coaching staff's offense. You mentioned Michael Fly being the first-year head coach. He's been on the staff for 7 years. And he knows this program better than anyone, no question about it. So it's good to see him get rewarded in the opportunity to be the head coach.
Redbirds with some nice spacing, move the ball around, and hit the jump shot. Yarborough
stayed right in the confines of the zone offense right there. Great ball movement, good pass. Malik Yarborough at the top of the free throw line area, knew what to do with it. Great pass by
Ernst as he finds a cutting Mercurius, and he lays it in the Orlando, Florida native in the board for the first time. And now it's Zach Copeland with a quick three, and it's out of bounds. It's going to go to Florida Gulf Coast. So the Eagles have an early start. They've scored 8 of the game's first 10 points, and at our first media timeout, they have the lead 8-2. Just underway, season opener in Normal, Illinois. Florida Gulf Coast 8, Illinois State 2. Florida Gulf Coast with the early 8-2 lead on Illinois State's Redbirds. Bob, what are your keys to the game?
Well, the keys to the game for Illinois State, I believe, was they have to defend without fouling. The Eagles of Florida Gulf Coast like to put the ball on the floor from the perimeter, get into the paint. You've got to be able to play man-to-man and or zone and keep the ball out of the middle off the dribble. And you've got to be able to do that without fouling. And Florida Gulf Coast is good at that. Last year, Florida Gulf Coast got 45 points from the perimeter players in the paint when ISU played them. The other thing is, I think ISU has to play by not turning the ball over. 15 or less turnovers, I think, is a key for them in this game. So I think those two things are really, really big for the Birds. I think for Florida Gulf Coast, they're still, like we said, they have a lot of new faces. So they got to find an identity without having any kind of a crisis happen in the process. And they also got to find out who's going to be the leader of all these new faces. I know they think it could be Cheatham. He is one that has been in some big ball games playing in the Big East.
Well, he worked his way down to the paint, but he couldn't quite finish, and now Yarborough comes back to the Redbirds. He tried to slip a pass into Thane. It's in and out of his hands. Redbirds turnover. Back come the Eagles. They'd like to have an up-tempo offense if they can. Baxter's in the game for the first time, and he traveled.
Yes, good call right there by the official. I was afraid they were going to whistle a foul right there. Arms were straight up. The body was not moving. That was an excellent call by the officiating crew.
Dan Muller, season 7 for the Redbirds, 122 and 80, and he believes he may have his most talented team in his 7 years as Redbird head coach.
Hine has entered the game, and I believe Copeland is having a rest right now. Yeah. Zone 2-3. One thing that Coach Fly is going to do with his squad, he's going to mix defenses up. You're going to see a wide variety. You're going to see some full court, some half-court man, some half-court zones. You're going to see a lot of different things defensively from the Eagles.
And Hine picked up his first foul. Cheatham going around him. Now we're going to see guy checking. He hasn't played basketball in a couple of years. Matt Chastain, who's from nearby Leroy, Illinois. He's had a couple of knee surgeries. He started his career at Loyola, and he was ecstatic when Loyola made the Final Four last year. Still has friends on that team, but he's been battling knee injuries for really the last couple of years, and now in his first game as a Redbird. Number 22.
Chastain is very athletic. He can jump out of the gym. At 6'6", he's a real offensive rebounding threat because he can crash the weak side boards so hard.
See Ricardo Day with the basketball. He's in the game for the first time. His 16-foot pull-up shot is no good off the back of the iron. And it's Caleb Caddo who comes down with it, but we've got a traveling violation.
Caddo is somebody the Eagles coaching staff are really excited about. They think as the season progresses, Caddo, who is a freshman this year, they think once he understands the college game a little bit better, they think he's going to have a really good career for the Eagles.
9 players have already entered the game now for the Eagles. We thought we would see a lot of bodies, and we certainly have even in the first 6 minutes. Josh Jefferson, his first shot as a Redbird is good for 3.
Big bucket. Redbirds needed that. And the one thing, obviously, that has been focused on by the Redbird coaching staff is to get back in transition defense because it's going to be pushed.
Jefferson is a junior college transfer from Lakeland and known as a three-point threat. So a good start for him to knock his first triple down.
He's an outstanding shooter when he can set his feet and shoot. He's not nearly as effective when he's off the dribble, but when you get good ball movement against zones, which you just saw in the last possession, he was set. They moved the ball. They got it to him. He finished. Right now, the Eagles got out of the zone, went to man. Great pass right there by Yarborough to get Fane as he cut to the rim.
Yeah, Yarborough was double teamed at the perimeter and found a way to snap it down here to Fane, who drew the contact.
Well, that pass is made available by Fane's recognition to move without the ball. When his man went to double team on Yarborough, he knew not to stand and stare. Go to make a basket cut. Give your teammates a target to throw to.
Fane playing about 10 pounds heavier than he did a year ago. You can see he's a little more cut. You know, a guy who's that big, 6'9", sometimes 10 pounds, you don't really see, but it surely shows up on his frame.
He will utilize that. It'll make him stronger as the season progresses also. He'll carry that weight well.
So he splits the foul shots, and the Redbirds are within 2 now.
A little half-court pressure by the Redbirds.
3-ball, good open look. It's Ricardo Day.
Wow. They do not hit. If they're open, they shoot. They don't waste time. The Eagles will put the ball up.
Now Yarborough all the way down and flip it in. And coast to coast.
This is going to be an exciting contest, folks.
As you mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Yarborough can do so many things. He scores it, he passes it, and he can rebound it. Good ball movement by the Eagles. Open 3 is missed, though, from the corner. That was Day. He made a shot from the right corner, missed from the left. Now Fane can't corral the Yarborough pass, and the Redbirds turn it over again.
Ill-advised pass. Even if Phil Fane had caught the ball, his momentum was carrying him out of bounds. I mean, Yarborough's got to understand the situation better than that.
So third turnover of the night for the Redbirds.
And that's what this quick pace Florida Gulf Coast likes to play. That's what it can make you do. You get out of character sometimes.
Each of these teams picked second in their conference preseason polls, and each really thinking this could be a nice resume game when you start thinking about March. That seems like a long way away, but coaches start thinking about that stuff in November when you talk about strength of schedule and your non-conference schedule. Carlisle with a difficult shot. We've got a whistle. He drew contact.
Again, a double team happened in the corner. Movement off the ball on a basket cut. Right there, challenge of the shot.
Yarborough picks up his first, that's the third team foul against the Redbirds. And so it's Christian Carlisle, again, the junior from Jacksonville. He played in 27 games last year. He missed a handful of games with an ankle injury and also with a concussion. Sidelined him for about 8 games last year.
Kurt, you mentioned something there just briefly that I want to go back to about this being a resume game. I think that's 100% accurate. Mid-majors get put into that position that they have to start the season with games that matter. Or at the end of the year, they get caught up in not having enough of those type of games on their strength of schedule and things of that nature. That if you don't schedule this way, you get eliminated before the season truly gets a good start.
Copeland trying to create his fadeaway jumper is out. Really good defense that time by Carlisle.
Yes,
it was all over him. It was just a created shot.
And that's what Copeland can bring to the Redbirds. That they haven't had that type of player the last couple of years. It's been a while since the Birds have had somebody with that size, that athleticism, that can go create a shot like that.
Casimir with a pump fake. He nailed the three, but they're going to say that the whistle happened before the shot. We've got a timeout on the floor. Good ball game so far. Florida Gulf Coast with a 3-point lead on Illinois State here in Normal, Illinois.
I'm Adam, and I make robots. The new Surface Pro can handle all of my programs. I can paint, I can mold, I can code. I can take an idea from a sketch and turn it into a real product in one device. It's pretty amazing.
Hey, does anyone have a charger? We're dying.
Yeah, just sit down here.
I'm dying.
Oh no, I'm dying. I'm dying.
Meeting between these schools. A year ago this week, Illinois State went to Fort Myers and Florida Gulf Coast beat the Redbirds 98-87 in a wild game last November the 11th. A lot of scoring in that one, and we anticipate this one could feature some fireworks as well. Not sure there'll be that many points, but that was a wild game, and we're expecting some offensive firepower here tonight.
Well, Coach Muller having to put Yarborough on the bench with the second foul at the 11:44 mark during that timeout. And it just, you just, as a senior, you can't put yourself and your team in that position. You got to understand how important you are and what value you bring to your squad. And sitting on the bench, you bring no value.
Seeing Ray Adobu, a freshman for Illinois State the first time. He's a Florida native. He's from Melbourne, and he's not built like a typical freshman. That guy's got quite a physique, 6'9", 240. Jefferson, his second three is no good. Evans goes up and gets it for the Redbirds.
Well, you better go up strong.
Copeland from the corner, another three.
Great job by Keyshawn Evans at getting the second opportunity, getting the offensive rebound and creating the second chance points for the Redbirds.
Redbirds have outscored Florida Gulf Coast 11-3 and have tied this ball game up. And after the Eagles turn it over, Illinois State with a chance to shoot for their first lead.
We've seen some full court pressure. A little 1-2-2 action. Good pass.
Adobu's shot is not good. Caddo comes down with it for Florida Gulf Coast.
Adobu shot that like a typical first shot from a freshman.
coach on Cheatham, and he's looking for help. Nice bounce pass to a cutter, and it's Baxter who hammered it.
Dowu helped on the ball handler. They reversed it, and his man took it hard, as we saw, to the rim.
Copeland's going to try to answer for three. It's no good. Now, the Eagles would like to kind of bring that Dunk City attitude back, that 2013 team that made it to the NCAA Sweet 16. And how about a three ball from Baxter? He's got 5 in a row, and timeout Illinois State.
That's the kind of squad the Eagles have. They will make runs like that in spurts where they score points quickly. You take a quick shot, they get a run out score. You don't stay disciplined on defense, such as we see in the replay right there. Help side didn't rotate over, boom, they hammer it home. They make excitement out of their play. Their style is fun to watch, it's fun to play.
Baxter is the UNLV transfer, 6'8", 200, a redshirt sophomore, long wingspan, long, lean physique. And he has given the Eagles a nice little pop here off the bench with 5 in a row.
Well, it's been said that he has NBA ability, but he sometimes gets in his own way. He tries to do a little too much. He gets out of character. He's, things of that nature, and that prevents him from playing consistently. Sometimes he gets in foul trouble. So anybody that's can be described as potential NBA talent, they're worrisome for you.
Difficult baseline shot goes down for Keyshawn Evans. His first hoop of the night.
Shots like that are shots you expect from veteran seniors to step up when you need a hoop.
Evans, a preseason All-Missouri Valley Conference second team pick. A lot expected of the seniors. Again, Cheatham puts it on the floor, goes right through the Redbird defense, and he's going to get back to the free throw line.
That's one of the points that I talked about, is the Birds have got to be able to play on-ball defense without fouling. Keep the ball out of the paint, and every time the ball gets in the paint, that means someone else has to come over and help. At that time, it was Phil Fain, and he got whistled for the foul.
Looking for contact. William Tinsley has re-entered the game for Illinois State. He sends Zach Copeland back to the Redbird bench.
And I'm quite sure, as we see Coach Muller talking with him it's about the defense. Because you couldn't contain the ball and the man and keep him in front of you, we now have a big with another foul.
Gassman and Hine have also re-entered for the Redbirds along with Phil Fain, so Redbirds making some substitutions there. Difficult shot. Fain drew a double team and was actually kind of fortunate to draw the contact because he was real close to turning it over.
No question. He got bailed out right there by a lack of discipline by the Eagles defense.
Fain to the free throw line, where a year ago he was a 50% free throw shooter, and the Illinois State coaching staff said this young man this summer worked and worked and worked and worked because he wants to be a better foul shooter.
His goal is to shoot 70% on the season. And that's something that I think every collegiate player should strive for. And Phil Fain is one that's going to have the ball down low. He's going to get fouled a lot. So he should be making free throws at a higher rate. Great ball movement, but they lost.
Carlisle lost control of it. It's a turnover. Now the Redbirds trying to capitalize. Hine is fouled. That time it's Mercurio Sagata.
Almost a mirror image of the problems the Redbirds are having on defense right there. We saw Hine put the ball on the floor and pick up the bump foul. That is something that's been a point of emphasis now the last couple of years in collegiate officiating. It's freedom of movement. Can't bump the ball handler.
Redbirds have a 3-guard offense on the floor right now, and Tinsley is kind of a quasi-guard anyway, so you're really looking at maybe 3.5 guards on the floor right now.
That will be, I think, very common to see the Birds this year go 4 out, 1 in. Man-to-man defense being applied by the Eagles. Oh, good hesitation
Evans
dribble.
puts it on the floor and leaves it for Gassman. Well done by Illinois State.
Keyshawn Evans is really showing some leadership, I think. Doing some really good things out there, involving not just himself, but his teammates.
And now a steal. Gassman jumps the passing lane.
Deflection right there by Tinsley. Created a bad pass.
Evans again with penetration. He missed, but it's tipped in by Phil Fain, and the Redbirds have their first lead of the night.
Again, the penetration by Evans. He makes things happen when he plays like he has here the last 3 minutes.
And another Illinois State steal.
Redbirds might have got away with a hand slap there.
Fain tried to finish on the break.
Got to finish those off. When you get turnovers, you got to get runouts that score.
Doyle's back in the game now, a little give and go. But he miscommunicated with Day, and once again, the Eagles turn the basketball over. We've got a timeout on the floor. 7:39 to go here, opening half. The Redbirds have their first lead of the night. They lead the visiting Florida Gulf Coast Eagles 20-18. Together, and they're on opposing teams tonight. But that's a nice little reunion picture, huh?
Yes, that was. You know, that's an AU squad right there doing some traveling. They played a lot together. Keyshawn said they've been together playing ball since they were in 5th grade.
Gotta love that. Zach Copeland back in the game now for Illinois State. That's
Look
it.
out.
Lobbing to
Look
Tinsley.
out. What great recognition. Defense turns their head. Great recognition by Tinsley to back cut on the baseline. Beautiful basketball right there.
Cheatham penetrates and kicks from the corner. 3 ball is missed. That's Day. And it's going to go out of bounds.
Yeah.
Illinois State.
Phil Fain was going to go run it down, but he didn't have a chance. Mr. Ernst had a hold of him. He wasn't letting him go.
First foul on the junior from Iowa, and the Redbirds have a 4-point lead on the basketball as we are under 7 minutes to go here in this first half of play. Game 1 of the season here at Redbird Arena. Well, Copeland dragged his foot, and so a turnover against Illinois State before the ball was kicked.
Which is only the Redbirds' 3rd turnover at this point, with 6:45 going to first half, as compared to 10 turnovers for Florida Gulf Coast. Wow.
Oh, a tough shot knocked down by De Niro Mercurius. He had a hand in his face, and he hit a big 3.
I'll say he had a hand in his face. Tinsley defended him as well as you could on that. He still knocked him down. Great pass
to Fain.
Great pass.
So Copeland slides into the role of the distributor here. He's the guy that's known for his shooting prowess, but here he's the point guard.
Well, it kind of depends on the matchups and the personnel on the floor right now. You're seeing both coaches use a lot of their bench early in this game. I got a sneaky feeling the second half, you're not going to see as much of it. Fain's still struggling with these free throws. He has a tendency to not put enough arc on the shot. I know he has worked countless hours on them.
Zach
Also just
Scott,
took
by
a
the
ball
way.
took the basketball to the gut right there as the official threw it to him. He wasn't looking.
Zach Scott is in the game now for the first time for the Eagles. So that's now 10 players that Florida Gulf Coast has used here in the first half. He's a freshman from Fort Lauderdale.
Well, you and I spoke briefly with the sports information director from Florida Gulf Coast, and he said if they got a uniform on tonight, they're probably going to play. I said Coach Fly plans on playing a boatload of people with his style.
Foul's going to be on Jefferson as Casimir had the quick first step and went around him and got the bump.
Florida Gulf Coast can't play everybody because they've got 2 people that are out with injuries right now. And they're going to be key players for them as their season continues.
Well, I think we're all in agreement that this team in about 2 months is going to look a lot different, obviously, than it is here on opening night. Once these guys who have been kind of thrown together will have some continuity and some chemistry. And I think that's the reason why they've been picked second in the conference. Lipscomb is the Atlantic Sun conference favorite. And again, another turnover. There you go, double-digit turnovers now for Florida Gulf Coast here in this first half.
That's their 11th, and I'll credit that one to the Redbird defense. They've never allowed the penetrator to turn to the rim.
Jefferson slips it to Fain. He shoots on Doyle, and he's going to get to the free throw line. Sorry, that's Brady Ernst again who's going to pick up another foul.
Fain can draw fouls on people all night long, and his teammates are doing a good job of getting the ball in a situation where he's isolated to take whomever is guarding him one-on-one and draw the foul. Now he's got to convert him. Or you can tell when it leaves his hand. You just can't. I mean, when he puts a nice arch on the ball, it's a soft touch. Great release.
8th free throw of the game already for Phil Fain. He has split them evenly. 4 makes and 4 misses, and the Redbird lead is 3 at 24-21.
The Redbirds need to keep Fain in the game. They've got Yarborough sitting on the bench with 2 fouls. They've got Evans sitting over there.
Baxter shoveled it down. Well done. Zach Scott, the beneficiary of a nice pass.
Boy, that's an unselfish group of players for Florida Gulf Coast. They get the ball up without any problem.
Fain in the paint. His shot rolls in. 8 points now for Fain. Day quickly back down the floor. He's in trouble. Flipped it out. It's going to be a steal. We've got a whistle. He stepped on the sidelines, and that's actually a break for Florida Gulf Coast because Illinois State had numbers.
No question they did. That would have been an easy bucket on the other end. But, again, credit to the Redbird defense to creating another turnover. That's 12 with just under 5 minutes to go in the first half.
Evans and Yarborough back in the game now for Illinois State.
Why not take him?
Fain
Why
spins.
not take him all day long?
Baxter's going to be whistled on this one. And back to the free throw line goes Phil Fain.
That's
free throws
Baxter's,
9 and 10 for him.
I believe, second foul on Baxter. And he'll probably set the rest of the half. They have some depth. The Eagles do at their low post players. Yeah, there goes Baxter out. Ricky Doyle returning to the game. Doyle all of 6'10", 240. Ernst is 6'10", about 235. I think he's lifted somewhere in the ballpark of that.
Phil Fain, the first player in double figures now. He's got 10.
Well, I'd go 4 round 1 all night if they keep defending him. He knows he can score whenever he wants.
Day trying to create. Now Casimir from the corner. Quick release, no good. High up to get it is Malik Yarborough for the Redbirds. Quickly back up the floor. Jefferson in transition. His 3 is down.
Had Jefferson on the left wing and Evans on the right wing. Total control of the situation right there. Good break by the Birds.
Suddenly the Redbirds have an 8-point lead. Now a 3 from the other end is in. You get 3, we'll get 3. Cedric Casimir from the corner.
Your help defense sags in that middle to cut off the penetrator and give some help, but it leaves their man wide open. And when it's somebody the likes of Casimir, he knows what to do with it and how to finish.
It's his second 3-point make of the game. Evans worked the baseline, and the ball is out of bounds off of Florida Gulf Coast, so the Redbirds will maintain possession. 3:39 to go here in the opening half. Illinois State a 5-point lead on Florida Gulf Coast. Season opener at Redbird Arena. 2019 State Farm Missouri Valley Conference Men's Basketball Championship returns March the 7th through the 10th at Enterprise Center, presented by Fox Sports Midwest. For tickets, call 309-438-8000 or visit GoRedbirds.com. Since 1907, the Valley runs deep.
Kurt, real quick, we talked about turnovers being a problem for the Eagles of Florida Gulf Coast. They've got 12 turnovers right now, and points off turnovers, ISU 16 points off of those 12 turnovers.
Big statistic.
Big.
Yarborough shot's going to roll in.
Good job right there coming out of the timeout for the coaching staff of Illinois State. Coach Muller calling that set play to get Malik Yarborough on track. Get him down low, let him operate.
Yarborough 3 for 3 from the floor tonight as we approach the 3-minute mark left here in the opening half.
He's got to play smart the remaining 3 minutes of this half. Don't pick up the third foul. You're detrimental to the team if you do.
Cheatham tries to create, and we've got a whistle, and it's going to go against Florida Gulf Coast, and it looks like it's going to be Doyle again.
That's his second also. Tell you what, we'll see right here, Redbirds, oh yeah, up and over. Fain had the position easily. And the Redbirds are doing a great job of sealing off down there and blocking out on the defensive boards. And if you're not aggressive, this Florida Gulf team prides themselves. We read a press release today about how that's, they take great pride in rebounding hard, being the aggressor, pushing things, making things happen. They take great pride in that in their program, and Coach Fly has kept that tradition, or is attempting to keep that tradition going.
Illinois State has 12 free throws in the first half, and every one of them has come from Phil Fain.
That's why I said a while ago, they can't stop him. They get the ball, go 4-round-1, get the ball down low to him.
And now it's going to be Tinsley that picks up the foul as he tried to get an offensive rebound.
Again, things that kind of bug me when I'm sitting here as an old coach watching this is you've got an 8-point lead with 3 minutes to go. Okay, your teammate misses a free throw. Don't let the other team who's struggling right now, they've been turning it over, don't let them go shoot free throws because you come over somebody's back off a missed free throw. I mean, you got to play smart basketball. All right, he redeemed himself. Missed free throw, Tinsley got the board. Got away with an error there.
Under 3 minutes to go here, first half.
Coaches are always looking early in the season. How do you finish a half? These are important. It's an 8-point lead. Can you turn it into 12?
Josh Jefferson is making a nice name for himself in his first game as a Redbird.
A little shake and bake up top. Defender leaned back. He took it to him. Good looking move right there.
He's hit 3 of 4 from beyond the arc for his 9 first half points. Day attacks from the left, but he can't get it to go down. And now the Redbirds back in transition.
Got numbers.
Keyshawn Evans evidently stepped on the sideline.
That's, again, early in the season, those are mistakes that happen, but you got to know those things. Be aware, have court awareness. You cost your team a shot attempt. That would have, the Redbirds had numbers right there. It was 4-on-2. I'm betting on the Birds with that kind of spread.
Take Phil Fain and Will Tinsley out, so Gassman is back in the game, as is Hine for Illinois State in the final 2 minutes of the half. Gassman thought about the pull-up again, and he just got ahead of himself. You could see he was ready to hit the pull-up, and he just got a half a step ahead of himself and turned it over. It's 13 turnovers for the Eagles here in the opening half. That'll be addressed at halftime for sure.
Some of that is Redbird defense. Some of that is self-inflicted.
Evans, rainbow 3, no good.
He's going to the hole.
Day all the way down. Nobody stopped him. He took it right to the rim.
The one thing you have to do as a primary defender of on the ball, you got to get the ball out of the middle because there's no help side when the ball's in the middle. And that you saw in transition right there. Jefferson
crossover, trying to get it to Yarborough.
Ooh,
Ball's out of
goodness.
bounds, it looks like.
They said it's Florida State, or Florida Gulf Coast, excuse me. A foul?
Offensive foul on Jefferson on the distribution there.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. That was... that doesn't even warrant an Academy nomination. That was... Oh, goodness.
Christian Carlisle takes the charge, and so now the Eagles get it back. It's a 37-28 Illinois State advantage. Zach Copeland has come back in the game now to replace Jefferson in that Redbird lineup. We're seeing Cato on the floor now, the freshman again for Florida Gulf Coast. That's him with the basketball.
Yarborough's guarding him for a reason. He has not done a lot. And
Here's
they're going to
Cheatham. He's going to try a three. Front of the rim, no good. High up to get it, though, is Carlisle, and so it's going to be another offensive set now for the Eagles.
Defense played well. They needed to secure that rebound.
Day again and a kick out. They're going to try another three. Cato missed that one. Tinsley comes down with it for the Redbirds.
40 seconds. A couple of big possessions right here on both ends. Obviously, the Eagles are going to get the ball back.
Tinsley's three from the front of the iron. That was early in the shot clock as well. It's about a 1 second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. So really, Florida Gulf Coast could essentially hold for the final shot here.
No one was expecting Tinsley to take that shot. When I say no one, his teammate, because there was nobody in the lane to rebound. They weren't anticipating that shot going up that quickly.
Day is going to try a three and miss it. Tinsley high up to get it. Quickly down the floor. The Redbirds have 2.5
No,
seconds.
the clock.
Hines' three is ripped out.
Goodness, great recognition. Good job of knowing the clock.
Illinois State a 9-point advantage. The Redbirds were down 8-2 to start this game, but finish pretty strongly there, Bob, and now take a 9-point advantage to the halftime.
You're exactly right. The Redbirds started sloppy on offense and couldn't get anything going. Subsequently, then on the defense, they were giving up way too much. Once they settled in and got things calmed down a little bit, they made a great run, and they did it by creating offense out of defense because they got turnovers from the Eagles.
Stay tuned for our halftime report presented by Country Financial. It's up next. Illinois State leads at the half, 37-28, the season opener, Redbird Arena. Welcome to our halftime report presented by Country Financial. Take a look at these first half numbers for the Redbirds and the Eagles. Illinois State leading Florida Gulf Coast 37-28. Bob, you looked at the field goal percentages. Really not bad for either team at 48% for Illinois State, 45% for the Eagles, especially when you consider the number of turnovers that Florida Gulf Coast had. I mean, they're shooting the ball relatively well when they're not turning the basketball over.
That's exactly right. They have shot themselves in the foot multiple times by giving the Redbirds opportunities by turning it over. And the points off turnovers, ISU has 16 points off of the 13 rebounds at halftime here. That's been the biggest problem for the Eagles and the best asset for the Redbirds right now.
Florida Gulf Coast with 5 3-point makes, and Illinois State with 4, the leading scorer for Illinois State. Doing most of his damage at the free throw line is Phil Fain. He had 11 points. The leading scorer for Florida Gulf Coast, you've got Casimir knocking down 2 threes for his 6 points.
Both teams have played 10 players each in the first half. That's a lot of faces out there. We'll see how that trend continues.
37-28, Illinois State leads Florida Gulf Coast at the half here at Redbird Arena in Normal, the season opener. Illinois, where it's Illinois State 37 and Florida Gulf Coast 28. Kurt Pegler, Bob Morris, our Redbird production crew with you in the season opener. Opening night in college basketball around the country. We want to show you what the preseason polls indicate for both of these schools. We mentioned that both the Eagles and the Redbirds picked second in their conference. Lipscomb is the preseason conference favorite in the Atlantic Sun with Florida Gulf Coast right behind, and then Liberty The Eagles will open conference play against Liberty in January. That'll be their conference opener. But again, high expectations for the Eagles. And we had mentioned that this is a key game when you're talking about resume building, for March Madness, because both these teams are expected to be in the upper divisions of their conferences.
No doubt. Lipscomb is the team that was the second team in the conference last year, and they upset the Eagles in the conference tournament, therefore got the automatic bid. So that really means the importance of this kind of game.
And you can see the Loyola Ramblers, the defending champions in the Missouri Valley Conference, are also picked to repeat this year with Illinois State. Right behind them, Southern Illinois Bradley. The Missouri Valley may be the Illinois Valley this year. The top 4 teams in the league are all from the state of Illinois in what is expected to be a very competitive Missouri Valley Conference race.
I think it's going to be fun to watch how this one plays out. Those top 4, I think, could beat anybody on any given night. And you've got teams down there in the middle of the pack when you're looking at Northern Iowa, Indiana State, Valpo, Missouri. They're going to jump up and beat somebody. That's who's going to determine who wins the league, is who gets the upsets and who prevents from being upset.
Of course, the Loyola coming off a magical season. The Ramblers finishing the year in the NCAA Final Four. Back with more from Redbird Arena, our Country Financial halftime report. Illinois State 37 and Florida Gulf Coast 28. Tonight's game is brought to you in part by Country Financial. Take simple steps at countryfinancial.com/simple steps as we get ready for the second half of action here at Redbird Arena. Game number 1 of a long college basketball season, earliest season opener for either team on November the 6th. Illinois State has a 37-28 halftime lead as we get ready for the second half. What do you think, Bob? You mentioned the keys to the game at the beginning of the broadcast. Let's revisit those here as we get ready for the second half.
Well, one of the things I mentioned about was Illinois State's ability to play defense and keep the ball out of the middle, out of the paint, without fouling. And I think they've done that. They've only committed 18 fouls, and they probably had 4 or 5 of those in the first couple of minutes of the game. So I think that was very important. And they also, I said they needed to not turn the ball over an excessive amount of time. And they've only had 5 turnovers as compared to 13 on Florida Gulf Coast. I think those are very important keys that in the second half, that same kind of success for Illinois State has to continue. What I think for Florida Gulf Coast, they've kind of stumbled out there in their offense, and I realize they got 8 new faces. They got to still find that leader in crunch time and somebody to take over instead of turn the ball over. So they're still struggling looking for that, and I think the first half of their season, they're going to go through these moments. But they also showed flashes of they can put offense on the board real quick.
Both teams come back out now here for the second half, and it does appear that Florida Gulf Coast is sending out its original starting 5. Christian Carlisle, Cedric Casimir, Ricky Doyle, Hanif Cheatham, De Niro Mercurius. The Redbirds will begin the second half on defense here. Keyshawn Evans, Phil Fain, Malik Yarbrough, Zach Copeland, and Josh Jefferson.
Redbirds have gone to a new uniform this first game. The uniform look has changed once again. We're not seeing the big baggy uniforms that we saw just a couple of years ago.
Right.
All kinds of new things.
Right, the turnover bugaboo has bitten the Eagles in their first possession of the second half.
The scrambling defense right there by the Redbirds threw them for a loop. You're throwing a double out of a double team, a cross-court pass. That's hard to hit the guy in stride.
Just to top off your thought about the uniforms, the Redbirds showing a gray look to the, if you're trying to adjust your television because they're usually wearing white, this is a gray uniform for Illinois State. And that is a 3 for the corner. Again, Josh Jefferson, his 4th three-point make of the night.
Second chance points. They're so deflating to an opponent. And a great job right there by the Redbirds making the extra pass, finding Jefferson wide open in the corner.
Keyshawn Evans is going to be whistled for a foul at the perimeter. Jefferson now with the team lead in scoring at 12 points. Again, we mentioned that he was a 3-point shooting threat at Lakeland College, a junior college. He was a junior college teammate of William Tinsley. Looks like Fain has just picked up a foul, so the Redbirds have picked up 2 fouls here in about the last 2 seconds. But he came to Illinois State known for being a guy that can really heat it up from the outside, and he's showing that here tonight.
Again, I'll go back to my point that good ball movement. They made the extra pass and found Jefferson wide open with his feet set. He is an excellent shooter at that point.
Zach Copeland penetrates and scores off the glass.
What body control to avoid the charge. Great individual move right there.
Another newcomer the Redbirds are very high on. He was with the team really all of last year. He practiced with the team. He could not play. Doyle, second effort, knocks that one home.
Bad rotation right there out of defense. Everybody knows what the help side defense is about, which Phil Fain was that time, but it's help for the helper that sometimes gets overlooked.
Evans three. No good. Long rebound. Jefferson goes and gets and lost it. Here comes Casimir. Numbers for the Eagles from the corner. Mercurius' three is good.
As I stated at halftime, they can put points up quickly. The Eagles know how to score. They can fly.
8 points for Mercurius. That's his second three-point make. Yarbrough draws a double team and a kick out. Evans to an open Zach Copeland.
Once again, excellent ball movement. Didn't work out to get any points that time, but the ball movement was there, finding the open player.
Cheatham down the lane, changed hands and flipped it in. Well done.
And he finished. He got there a couple of times in the first half and couldn't finish. I'm looking in the second half for him to step up his production offensively.
Yeah, first points in a long time for Cheatham. How about a three from Jefferson? Why not? He's feeling it. His fifth three-point make. He's 5 out of 6 from beyond the arc.
He's had an impressive game. When you shoot the ball well, your effort on defense gets a lot better also.
Doyle with a nice little move. Flipped it up and in.
Up, under, and left-handed finish.
Florida Gulf Coast really hoping that they can get every ounce out of him. Injuries and illness bothered him last year. He was kind of banged up, some nagging injuries. He had 13 starts last season. They're really hoping they can get more out of him this year. Redbirds turned it over that time as the pass from Malik Yarbrough was tipped and thrown away.
I'm not quite certain who Yarbrough was trying to make that pass to, Fain or Copeland in the corner. Doesn't matter because it went out of bounds. It now belongs to the Eagles.
Redbirds sent Tinsley and Hine in now and sent Phil Fain and Isaac Gassman to the bench. I'm sorry, Keyshawn Evans to the bench. Backdoor cut in and out of the hands of Casimir, though.
That was an excellent pass. That's one of those things that in another, you give them a handful of games, 2, 3, 4 balls, those are completed and finished. Florida Gulf Coast did not have any exhibition games. They had 2 closed scrimmages. So this is their first game in front of a crowd of any kind. Yep, right there. Yarbrough picked up pushed off with both hands and extended them, and they're going to call that nowadays. It's an obvious move. If we get a chance to get that on replay, that's they don't let defensive players put a hand on an offensive player. Here, we'll see it right here. That came after the fact. It had already happened. He had both hands in the chest of the defender. It's kind of like offensive pass interference. You can't get open by dislodging the defender.
You're going to get whistled for that, for sure.
And that hurt because that's Yarbrough's third with 16 minutes going to game.
So he goes to the Redbird bench, and Gassman comes in to replace him. An open look is missed. Mercurius had a good look at it, but it's going to be a foul on the rebound, and it's going to go against Illinois State. That's not a very popular call here.
Well, Ernst is trying to mentioned it. Brady Ernst is trying to go face-to-face with Gassman, and Gassman is just ignoring him completely.
We've got a timeout on the floor. 45-37, Illinois State the lead early here in the second half at Redbird Arena. Get some news and notes from around the Missouri Valley Conference as Illinois State leads Florida Gulf Coast 45-37. The Valley last year finished in the RPI as the number 8 conference in the country, best finishing spot for the Valley in 5 years. 15 games against power opponents on Valley schedules this winter. Loyola, of course, was ranked 26th in the final, or in the preseason AP poll after their run to the Final Four. And again, optimism very high for what could be a really outstanding race this year in the Missouri Valley Conference. Ray Adovu's in the game, and his hook shot is missed out of bounds off the Redbirds.
He does everything well, setting himself up to receive a pass, positions himself to take a shot, and then he's way off on his shot. Both attempts have not been successful, nor did they stand a chance to be.
Catch and shoot from Cheatham is no good. Offensive rebound, Ernst, and he's going to get to the free throw line.
And that's on, who was that anyway? Lost track of who that
might
was.
have been Adowu.
Yeah, I think it was. Yep, Adowu.
And the Eagles showing a little strength now in the paint with their post players, second half.
And again, reminding our viewers, they've got 2 post players that are setting out due to injuries. Wow, that was not pretty.
Mentioned Ernst is the Iowa native, played his entire career in the state of Iowa, first at Clinton High School, then at Iowa State, then at Indian Hills Community College, now out of state for the first time playing for the Florida Gulf Coast Eagles. He splits his free throws and pulls his team within 7. Behind the screen from Fain, who rolled off of it and jammed it down. And the foul.
Through the foul. What a slick pass from Hine right there. There's just a fraction of a second, as you saw right there, that you had to complete that, and you've got to catch them in rhythm so they don't have to put it in the floor, and they don't give the defense a chance to recover and help.
The foul is on Baxter, his third. They're going to try to get him out of the game, I would imagine, but we've got a foul against Illinois State, and it looks like it's going to be on Tinsley, which would be the second time that he's been called for an over-the-back off a missed foul shot.
Yep. He's got great athleticism, but you got to understand when to use it. You know, in a stop situation where there's an official camped out under the rim, they're going to call that every time. Now, it could be corrected if you just make your free throws.
Fifth foul already of the half against the Redbirds.
Which was not an issue in the first half.
Seven to shoot. 4 to shoot. Stepped out of bounds, or no, we got a foul on Fain.
Whoa, that's not a popular call by any means. And you see it here just an ever so slight. Goodness gracious. I'm not certain that I saw it. And for Fain, I believe that is his third. Nope.
Number two. Sixth team foul against the Redbirds here in the second half. Free throws coming now for Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah. They just attack off the dribble. There's another turnover.
Gassman again. He did that in the first half. Now it's Tinsley. Couldn't finish. Fain had a crack at it, but he couldn't get it to go down. The Redbirds are going to maintain possession. 2 good looks that time for Illinois State, but neither of them went down.
Well, that's too bad. They did a great job defense, creating offense, running the break. Tinsley filled the wing, just couldn't get her to finish.
Tinsley's pass is stolen away. Cheatham all the way down, and again he flipped it up with the left hand and scored.
Tinsley's had some mental errors here just recently that he didn't show in the first half. Oh, great pass
Copeland
again.
to Fain. Good hands from Fain to collect it and score.
Copeland's impressive. You know, he came in as a big-name scorer, but he's showing a lot of other attributes to his game.
15 points for Fain is what he averaged last season. Cheatham's going to try to go one-on-one. Lost it again. Hine comes away with it. Has Gassman on his right. Flipped it up and drew the foul.
That was all he was attempting to do there, was draw the foul.
That's the third now on Mercurius. So some of these fouls are starting to pile up.
That is the 17th turnover for the Eagles of Florida Gulf Coast.
Hine is a Florida native. A couple of Florida guys on that Illinois State roster as well. We mentioned Ray Adobu's from Melbourne, and of course we saw the team photo, the AAU photo with Keyshawn Evans, a Plantain, Florida native. So this is a nice game for these guys too, to play against a team from the state of Florida.
No doubt. It has drawn some interest back in Florida.
Hine's hometown is Windermere, and he makes that second free throw and heads to the bench, and Keyshawn Evans comes back in.
Keyshawn coming off of a foot injury. You're kind of being careful and watching the total minutes that he's playing in a game.
Baxter flips it to the corner. Three ball is missed by Caddo.
Nope.
Yarbrough's shot is kind of flat that time, but Fain comes away with it.
Good job by Fain again.
Tinsley's open look is no good, and it's cleared that time by Caddo. Baxter's got a three from the top of the key. That's no good. Caddo, another rebound. Flips it to the corner. The three is missed, but a tip dunk. That's Baxter off the miss from Day.
That's what a second chance opportunity does. It just deflates a team.
Copeland is fouled.
Draws the foul. Kind of lured the defense into believing he was going to give a handoff right then, and boom, took it to the bucket, drew the foul. Copeland brings a lot, like I was talking earlier, brings a lot of assets to the game. He's a good passer. He's an adequate, I wouldn't say he was outstanding, but he's an adequate ball handler. He has shown flashes of being able to shoot from the perimeter, takes the ball to the bucket aggressively, draws the foul. There you see in a replay the follow-up by Pack. Wow, that young man has got some skill.
Dan Muller isn't afraid to admit it. At times last year, the best player in practice was Zach Copeland. Yes, he was not eligible to play for the Redbirds, so he's been chomping at the bit to finally put that Illinois State uniform on and play. Got a chance to start tonight, too, and he's got 9 points in his Redbird debut. Baxter's got an open three this time.
I think the Redbirds are willing to let Baxter shoot from out there. If he wants to crank it up from three, they'll let him. It's when he goes inside and follows up for tip dunks it. They can't really handle him. Got Yarbrough down low, that's when he's at his best. He gets the ball down there and they can't handle him one-on-one. Draws a foul.
And he just drew the fourth personal on Baxter. We've got a timeout on the floor with 11:50 to go here. Illinois State a 10-point lead over Florida Gulf Coast. Take a look at the next 4 games now for Michael Fly's Eagles. They've got an NAIA date with Southeastern, a school from Lakeland, Florida. You know they're going to be absolutely stoked to play Florida Gulf Coast. And nationally ranked Michigan State, a very good South Dakota State team, and Toledo. So they're not exactly tiptoeing into this season. They've got themselves a bona fide difficult start.
Well, the Redbird fans understand how good South Dakota State can be when they came into the Redbird Arena and spanked the Birds a couple of years ago.
Tinsley can't finish.
Nice little pass right time by Evans, finding the cutter in the form of Tinsley. As you said, he's just really struggling right now. He's just not comfortable out there.
Another turnover.
Great defense right there to get another turnover.
Evans takes it down to Tinsley, but he was wise to bring it back out. Now it's Yarbrough's going to penetrate, and he thought he was going to draw some contact, but he didn't.
Had a
Defense
shooter
by
in the
Eagles.
corner. Had a shooter wide open in the corner.
We approach the 11-minute mark left in this one. 10-point Illinois State lead. Kurt Pegler, Bob Morris, our Redbird production crew with you on opening night college hoops. Ball is on the floor and nearly stolen away.
A lot of deflections. And, oh, boy, wrong person wide open that time in the
Cedric Casimir. Yeah, he's the transfer from Iona who's helped his former team, Iona, make it to 3 straight NCAAs. He is a 3-point threat, and you give him that kind of look, and he's going to knock it down.
Up to that point in the second half, the Eagles were only 1 of 7. Right there with that make, they took 2 of 8 for the half on 3-point attempts. Good defense by Copeland right there.
Doyle works on Yarbrough, but Yarbrough held his ground and comes down with a defensive rebound.
Once again, that was excellent defense.
Tinsley looks like he's picked up yet another foul on the offensive end.
He may benefit by a little time on the bench just to get his head straight again right now. That wasn't it was just, you can't go up the air and make passes back out because people are going to do that very thing to you. They're going to set up underneath you and take a charge. I don't like those calls, but they do make them.
Mercurius for 3, rattle it down, and so the 3 ball is helping put the Eagles right back in this thing.
They were 1 of 7 to start the half. Now they've made their last 2. That's 6 quick points. They're never really going to be out of a game because of their ability to score in a hurry.
Copeland's going to try a 3 from the top. Ball's out of bounds, and it's going to go to Florida Gulf Coast off Malik Yarbrough. Eagles are sensing a little bit of a momentum change here.
Kind of a typical first game of the season. Both teams are playing in streaks. There's not a lot of consistency happening on either end offensively.
Mercurius makes himself a little room, fired up a 3, but couldn't get it go down this time.
Felt good after making the last one.
Yarbrough, his pull-up is no good. Fain with a big offensive rebound. The Redbirds are going to get another crack at it here.
Boy, Fain is so active on the boards. He came from behind a player without fouling him. And they've made that call several times, so he's good. He's just good.
15 points and 8 rebounds now for Fain tonight. He's played very well in the season opener. Yarbrough's floater is in.
Good patience that time on the offensive end by the Redbirds.
8 points now for Yarbrough, the preseason All-Missouri Valley selection. We're under 9 minutes left in this one.
Down to 8 in shot clock. In the hands of the playmaker.
And a 3. Carlisle missed it. Long rebound out, and it's going to be controlled by Yarbrough. He stepped over a defender to come away with it and fouled in the backcourt.
It was he was never on balance. He was struggling so hard to get control. And there were 3 defenders around him. Good effort that time by Yarbrough to keep the ball.
Casimir's going to go to the bench for Michael Fly. We approach the 8-minute mark left in this one. This one has the feeling that it's going to go down to the end.
Well, the Redbirds have extended the lead up to 10 at this point in the second half, but you never feel like the Eagles are out of it.
Yarborough tried to connect on a lob with Fain, who didn't see that one coming, so it's an Illinois State turnover. Fain nearly came away with the steal, been active on both sides of the floor here. Cheatham. Ernst in trouble, but he came away with it. He's going to get to the free throw line.
I don't know how else you defend that. Ernst is standing literally underneath the rim, and Fain is arms up, straight up. I don't know how they want him to defend it.
He'll be at the free throw line when we come back. 7:41 to go. Illinois State 54, Florida Gulf Coast 48.
Or more.
Take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Illinois State Redbirds, who will travel to Nashville, Tennessee, play a game at Belmont on the 10th, home against Chicago State then a week from tonight, and then Georgia and perhaps Clemson on the schedule as part of the Cayman Islands Classic. That's a difficult non-conference schedule. That doesn't even include later in that non-conference schedule BYU, San Diego State, and Ole Miss.
Opportunity knocks. You get in those tournaments for those exact reasons. Postseason resumes.
Central Florida also on the Illinois State non-conference schedule. Ernst to the free throw line.
Ernst just is not comfortable at that free throw line. He's about to attempt his fourth one here, and I haven't seen him look smooth there. That was the best one he's had yet.
Zone defense now for the Eagles, and Hine is going to try to shoot over it. His three is missed. Long rebound tipped out, and the Redbirds come away with it. It's Keyshawn Evans. Right place, right time. Now it's Yarborough with a kick out. Evans open three from in front of his bench is good.
Second chance points. Drive coaches crazy defensively. When you play that hard, that well, and then don't secure a rebound, offense gets another chance. It's just like stabbing you in the heart.
Really big bucket for the Redbirds. Block shot that time, Jefferson, and now Hine tries to save it. Out of bounds to Florida Gulf Coast. Good effort.
Very good effort. Jefferson stayed with it. Got the block.
Another look at that key second chance basket for the Redbirds.
You see right here, that's three passes to find the open man. That's terrific ball movement. It's mature, intelligent.
Casimir pump fake, and his three is good.
That young man is a player. You can tell he's been in the NCAA three straight years. Knows what he's doing and doesn't panic. And he seems to always be open. When they need a bucket, he's available.
Evans going to try another three. Cheatham thought about it, steps inside the arc, penetrates, flipped it up and in. Another difficult shot.
What a great body control right there. Down to a 3-point deficit right now.
He's had a big second half.
Yes, he has. We made mention earlier in the broadcast that we thought second half might be when he picks it up.
Yarborough. Count it, and the foul.
Defense a little slow on the rotation. They're inside the arc. Contact made. Great pass behind to lead Yarborough right to the rim.
Yarborough's got a chance for a three-point play. The Redbirds, every time it seems like the Eagles are ready to strike again, Illinois State has just had enough to answer. Now Gassman will come in and replace Yarborough after he completes the three-point play. He's danced around foul trouble all night long. Burns to the high post. Carlisle cuts and scores, and the foul's going to go against Gassman, and he's got an opportunity for a three-point play.
When the ball came to the high post, Carlisle broke up, got the defender Gassman to lean, then made a back cut. We see it right there. All he needed was that half-step advantage. Good pass and a great finish.
And he makes good on the free throw.
Florida Gulf Coast just keeps hanging around.
Yeah.
Can't.
Not going to go home, that's for sure. Not mailing this one in. It's a one-possession basketball game. Illinois State's lead of 10 is down to 3.
Zoned by the Eagles. There's the
Zane
man.
with a big move on the baseline.
There's the man. First half, he was the difference. They need to get it back to him more often. Oh, that was a walk. Gee, got away with one there.
Day with a reverse, can't get it. Fain clears. Big stop for the Redbirds, under 5 minutes left here.
Oh.
Hine was fouled from behind, and Ricardo Day can't believe it.
I think the Redbirds may have got a break right there on that call. And I think Ricardo Day would agree with me. Right there in transition, Hines got to get the ball up quicker. He had two people on the right wing, one in the corner, one on the wing. You got to find them. The longer you have the ball in your hand in the middle of the floor, the more chance you have to lose it, because that's where everybody's running back on defense. They're going to flick it away. It's just a fact of basketball life. You want to start with it in the middle, and then you got to get it out of the middle and find people running the floor with you.
Matt Hine makes both the free throws. Redbird lead is at 7 now.
I say game of runs. Streaky first game. Boy, he loves to chuck it up.
Baxter, quick fire. The Redbirds come away with it.
I'd put that young man on that block down low and never move him.
Gassman steps inside the arc, can't get it to go. Josh Jefferson, an offensive rebound, and flipped it in.
Nobody blocked him out.
His first 5 makes were from the three-point line. That's his first 2-point make of the night, and a big one for Illinois State. And some good D that time, but it's going to be off of Jefferson's hands and out of bounds. He's had a really nice Redbird debut.
He has. He's played very well tonight. Gassman have given the Redbirds good minutes. Jefferson, Copeland.
Day nearly had a strip and a kick out. Evans' rotation is just a hair late. Cheatham made Illinois State pay. Knocked down a 3.
The Redbirds were rotating much quicker and on perimeter shooters in the first half than they are in this half. The Eagles have had way too many open looks.
Gassman in the low block to Yarbrough. He just turned and flipped it in.
That's 2 points right there. You get him down low on that block, he's going to get it and go straight through you and score. That was a man finishing right there.
Day's going to go one-on-one with Yarbrough and turned it over.
Yeah, carried the ball. Yep.
Officials timeout. 3:20 to go here in regulation. Illinois State 68. Florida Gulf Coast 60 in the season opener here at Redbird Arena. Tonight's game is being brought to you by Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. Illinois State 68. Florida Gulf Coast 60. 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go in this ball game. Dan Muller's team has benefited from the turnover bug. They've got 20 points off turnovers to the 10 points Florida Gulf Coast off turnovers. That is really a key statistic here tonight, Bob.
There's no question that's been a key, and Redbirds have done a great job of handling the situation and finishing off after they create a turnover. Then they go score from.
Evans to Gassman. Little jumper on the baseline, no good. Offensive rebound from Malik Yarbrough. A big bucket for the Redbirds.
After that timeout, there was 3:20 remaining in the game. Now, it's at approximately the same amount of time to go in the first half. The Redbirds finished the first half truly strong.
And a tip in that time. They're going to wave it off. Baxter is probably going to be called for offensive goaltending.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. A basket interference. Basket interference. First of all, there was a walk they missed. Second of all, it was an over the back they missed. But they finally got the third call in that basket interference.
Well, again, you've mentioned how athletic he is. In that case, it worked against him. He was so high up there, getting both hands on the rim.
Back to my original point where I was going. The Birds finished the first half really well and strong. They need to finish this half also.
Evans lobs it to Fain, but we've got a whistle on the lob.
Charge.
It's going to be a charge against Keyshawn Evans. So,
I mean, that's
offensive foul. That's a difficult foul to accept at the 2:22 mark.
It's needless. Why do you have to leave the floor to make a lob pass? I mean,
that's exactly what I almost could read Dan Muller's lips from here. That's exactly the message that he is sending to his senior point guard.
You would think with a 10-point lead, 2:20 remaining in the game, with as many seniors as the Redbirds have, they'd finish the game off correctly. Now let's follow that through and see what happens. What you're looking for is the maturity of the development. A year ago, it was a struggle.
No seniors on the roster for Illinois State a year ago.
There's the shooter.
3-ball knockdown again. Cedric Casimir has really found his stroke here in the second half.
And you got to understand it. Jefferson was playing him like he would have in the first half. You can't do that. You got to nail the game down, put it away, get the ball out of the handle of their best shooter.
Fain to Gassman, who flipped it up and missed the shot. He was in close proximity, but he could not finish. Cheatham
to a shooter.
Casimir from the corner again, another three.
And here we go. It's a ball game.
Back-to-back three-point makes from Cedric Casimir. We've got ourselves a 4-point game with 91 seconds to go. Don't go anywhere, folks. 70-66, Illinois State. 1:31 to play. Has been a great addition for the Florida Gulf Coast Eagles, and he has made his presence known here the last couple of moments with a couple of threes to pull his team from a 10-point deficit down to a 4-point deficit.
Literally the smallest player on the floor by far has made the biggest plays for the Eagles down the stretch.
5'10", 170 pounds.
And I'm questioning both of those.
Well, obviously he's got big play capability. Redbirds break that full court pressure and bring it back out.
Nothing wrong with running a little clock, but once you get into the half-court set, you got to be aggressive. Don't make it a last-second desperation shot. Go to the rim.
Yarbrough. They're going to whistle it dead before the shot.
Somehow he made that basket.
Well, here's the replay. You can see the bump. Yeah, it was before the shot.
It definitely. That's a good call. And it was a good take. I like him going to the rim. I like his chances. He's either going to draw the foul, make the basket, or both, typically.
Big free throws now for the senior. His father, Dell, was a star here in the late 70s, and he's still 26th on the all-time scoring list. The late Dell Yarbrough, and now Malik trying to add his name.
Boy, those are sweet shots.
Yeah.
Good looking touch.
Minute to play in a 6-point Illinois State lead.
ISU finishing with a man-to-man defense here down the end. Mismatch inside.
Casimir pull up. Difficult shot. Good defense by Keyshawn Evans.
What I stated earlier in the game, make him shoot off the dribble. Don't let him get set. The 2 threes he made, He was set in the corner with the defender not near him. That time, the Redbirds defended him the proper way.
And now Evans can really make it difficult with a couple of makes here. As you mentioned, Bob, he had some knee issues last year and some foot issues in the preseason this year. In fact, when Illinois State played his first exhibition game a week ago, he was in a boot, didn't play, but he's not really showed any sort of ill effects from that here tonight.
Well, what he's shown tonight is he's healthy again. He's ready to play.
Cheatham, 3, no good. Yarborough the rebound, and this ought to do it.
Yes, does do it. And after a couple of errors defensively, oh, look out.
Fain missed on the lob. Redbirds nearly put an exclamation point on it. Now on the other end, Baxter's going to try, but Yarborough comes away with it. Neither team could execute the lob, and at this point, the Redbirds can just run the clock out.
Typical first game. Both teams pretty streaky. I think Florida Gulf Coach is going to be a team to be heard from second half of the season once they iron out some wrinkles. Good win for the Redbirds, though. It's a resume builder.
Not as much offense as the game last year at Florida Gulf Coast, won by the Eagles 98-87. But tonight, Illinois State evens the score with a 74-66 season opening win over the Eagles here tonight at Redbird Arena. And our advocate, Broman Medical Center Player of the Game in his first Illinois State contest is the junior college transfer, Josh Jefferson. He nailed 4 of his first 5 shots from beyond the arc. Gave Illinois State a really, really nice lift off the bench. And he is the player of the game. Brought to you by Advocate Healthcare. Tomorrow starts today. Discover your tomorrow at advocatehealth.com. Redbirds 74, Florida Gulf Coast 66. How about some final thoughts, Bob, on this season opening win for the Redbirds?
It's a game to build on for the Redbirds. They did enough good things to obviously get the win, but there's also areas that they got to clean up and polish up. They beat a strong team that comes from a good conference with a good program. Good win, move on, improve, get better. It'll help down the road.
For our producer, Autumn Conley, and my broadcast partner, Bob Morris, and our terrific Redbird production crew, I'm Kurt Pegler, saying so long from Normal, Illinois. Final score, Illinois State 74, Florida Gulf Coast 66. This copyrighted telecast is property of Redbird Sports Properties, LLC, under rights granted by Illinois State University. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, reproduction, or other dissemination of this telecast or any part of it without the express written consent of Redbird Properties, LLC, is prohibited. Redbirds win the opener, 74-66, and good night from Redbird Arena.